to bring us to a total, blatant dictatorship. I give you Dr. Bill Deagle.
Colorado, Canada, British MI5, MI6, they're coordinated with the drug running, which is $500 billion to $1 trillion a year. By all these agencies, they're all tied together.
Why would they cooperate with people running drugs? You're talking about the CIA drug running?
CIA and Department of Justice and EPA bring in all the drugs. There's a very tiny fraction brought in by rogues.
How can you verify this information?
I was a doctor that flew and took care of the pilots flying out of Buckley Air Force Base in Peterson, and they fly over and come back freaked out and tell me that they were coming back loaded to the gunnels with drugs and dropping off at unusual sites as well.
These were Navy pilots or Air Force?
These are Air Force. Buckley Air Force Base Reserves, which is C-130 Reserves, Peterson Air Force Base, exactly, in Colorado. And I also have friends with Special Forces, Special Op and Elda, so I taught the course and knew many of these guys. And the Navy ships were bringing them in Tallahassee, Florida, and other ports. Nuclear physics.
You got a photographic memory.
Photographic memory.
Training in nuclear physics.
I was supposed to go to MIT nuclear physics, went into honors biochemistry. I finished my PhD research project at age 20 in molecular biology, okay? I was studying specialty medicine at 24. I'm 55, okay? I've been around a long time.
What medical school did you study medicine in?
Dalhousie University, Halifax, Nova Scotia. University of British Columbia, Medical College of Georgia, Medical College of Wisconsin.
So you held licenses both the U.S. and in
Canada. Yeah, I practiced in British Columbia, Alberta, Nova Scotia, Georgia, Illinois, and Colorado.
How come I've never heard your story before? I've never even heard of you.
They suppressed it. They don't want it out. I'm on Genesis Network. I came out 2.5 years ago with the truth about a lot of the stuff about Oklahoma City. Now it's on Alex Jones archives 2.5 years ago. You can listen to the audio archives. And I have my affidavit on my website, Clay and Iron. You can actually get the actual affidavit there. It's not scanned, it's the actual word-for-word affidavit of what I sent to Justice Trevor.
Given that your scenario is right, your information is all correct, and they do pop the nukes this summer, what could any American do to stop or prevent any of this?
Well, first, we were speaking to the people inside the military, the intelligence, and the FBI. There's good people in all of our organizations. They have to have a false flag operation, meaning they have to run a simulation. Then they have to go make it go live, or they have to actually poke the eyes out by setting up a red-blue team thing like they do with CSIS when they're doing this, you know, the Canadian Security Intelligence and NORAD when they're doing that. So they have to have operational false flags in order for them to be able to do these. If we watch the false flags and the people inside it know that the false flag potentially could go live, they need to be able to blow the whistle to the media. They need to be able to have courage to realize if they make this go live, there's two major scenarios on the way. The first is they have pandemic avian flu, and I have proof, genetic proof, letter by letter, that they weaponized this and created it on purpose. I even have the sources where it was. I got the documents March 16th, 1997 from doctors and scientists in Zurich, Switzerland. They smuggled it out of the World Health Organization headquarters in Basel, Switzerland, and gave it to me when I was speaking over a private conference with the directors at HLI, Human Life International in Zurich, Switzerland in 1997, March 16th. They gave me the document and showed that they were actually taking the 1918 flu, taking the gene sequences of the fragments of the DNA and rebuilding the virus and weaponizing it to make it 30 to 50 times more deadly than the 1918 flu. Calculation, and I have the DNA proof, this is not conjecture, letter by DNA letter that proves it's the same numbers as like the show Lost, the same DNA sequences that were lethal in 1918 plus new ones like a deletion in the NS1 gene that makes it 30 to 50 times more lethal. And the estimated dead from the avian flu when they finally release what I call the Zycronian 12 plague will be 2+ billion. That's the dead, not just the infected. It will paralyze the world economy. That's probably coming in the next few years. But the major danger, I believe, that in the next, say, 3 to 6 to 18 months before the U.S. federal elections, is false flags and nukes going off in cities that have been doing multiple tests over the last number of months now, with 10 kiloton nukes. The last one was the end of April in Virginia Harbor. They're getting ready to blow up the core of a number of cities. And the people have told me this face to face with senior NSA agents and CIA agents who told me face to face what their operational plans were. And they were already frightened and trying to think about how they're going to get out of the country as long ago as 1994. They knew it was going to come, and they knew it would come in step things. Like Oklahoma City came after this. Then the 9/11, I had the Patriot Act 2 years before 9/11 from my special op and Delta contacts. They sent me the Patriot Act 2 years before 9/11. I sat down March 1, 2001 with the FBI director, the Center for Disease Control director for Bio-terrorism.
Who was the FBI director at that time?
I don't remember his name, but it was the FBI director for Bio-terrorism. He was the director for the Bio-terrorism division.
Right? At Fort Detrick, Maryland?
No, well, I guess the top guy for the U.S. He wasn't just a regional director.
Okay.
We were doing Operation Top Off in Dark Winter, and we failed on both of those. And we did a simulation on 17th Avenue for the release of anthrax with a simulation, and with bubonic plague in the Performing Arts Center, and a supercomputer simulation of a guy that was supposedly came in our supercomputer, you know, a simulation from Cairo with infected smallpox, and then he flew to Oklahoma City. Interestingly, this is, by the way, Oklahoma City, and what he did was he was supposed to come with an infective weaponized strain that would spread, and we calculated from our computer simulations and modeling that it would spread to 93 million Americans in 93 countries in 90 days. Then
that would reduce the world population. What's the point of this?
They've moved all of these plagues the Russians developed over the last 75 years, all of our plagues from BSL-2 to BSL-4 labs. So all the universal labs over all the major cities now are all been upgraded with proper low pressure installations. So these multiple plagues, like when Katrina hit a year and a half ago, that hit a city that had a BSL-2 lab that had the worst plagues that were ever developed in human history, sitting in a lab with a chain link fence and a chain on the gate, and that's it.
What city was that in?
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
In New Orleans, they had some of the most deadly plagues ever made in history, sitting in a laboratory with just literally a chain and a lock sitting on the gate.
How many people knew that was there?
Very few people. People like me that do infectious disease. I taught the course on February 12, 2002 to our special op Delta and all the doctors in North America and Europe on bioterrorism. I was a main professor teaching it.
So you're saying that the average American can't really do anything. We got to depend.
No, what they need to do is, first off, it's going to happen with average people. It's going to be military, police, firefighters, corporate heads, CFR. They need to know that their next plan is when they do this, they're going to declare martial law. They have these civil defense camps ready, 660. They can hold 100,000 each. They have 2 that can hold 1 million. One can hold 2.5 million. And I personally visited several camps around America, and one that was north of in Montana in Alberta. They could hold 500,000, and I was told by my military contacts a long time ago that this was designed for Americans. And the time when I visited the camp was July 1983. July 1983.
83.
1983.
More than 20 years ago.
The guy who told me was the CSIS director for Western Canada. So I went personally to the camp.
Why would they even want to keep camps to hold people and they can just wipe them out with plagues?
They want work factories, and they want to control the population. Right now, what their plan is, their main thing is control. They want to go to martial law, then they'll get the people under control, then they'll get them chipped. Once they're chipped, I mean, they're totally controlled. Their idea is to have a chip that can track you down to 1 cubic meter anywhere up to 400 meters below ground, anywhere on the planet. They'll have sensors and cell phone towers, doors, buildings, everywhere. And these are biometrically linked to a supercomputer database, and I was at the primary node, which is at Schriever Air Force Base, Falcon, Colorado. There are other nodes for this that are based overseas in Whitehall, England, Jakarta, and other places, all connected by both satellite and ground-based super fast fiber optic links worldwide.
Watch on second thought to get the whole truth.
There it is. You just heard it from Uncle Sam. I'm William Wagener here with Betty Powers and the genuine Uncle Sam of the United States of America, telling you get rid of Bush, as I'm telling you the same thing. We need to get rid of the Democrats too. Thanks for watching this show, because we need you. This is William Wagener for On Second Thought. See you next week as we go to freedom.